Assalamu alaikum and very good morning, students. Welcome to Chemistry with GS, and today I will explain you two important topics of chapter Structure of Molecules of grade 9. And these topics are what is ionic bonding and explained with the help of examples. And topic number 2, what is covalent bonding and explain the types of covalent bonds on the basis of electron pair shared between two atoms. So first of all, I will explain what is ionic bonding. So what is ionic bonding? And explain with the help of examples. This is very important questions for examination point of view. So ionic bond is formed when one atom loses electron and another atom gains electrons. So the atom which loses electron is forms cations, while the atom which gains electron form anions. So cations and anions attract each other electrostatically and form ionic bonding. So ionic bond is formed by transferring of electrons from one atom to another atom. So the atom which loses electron forms cation, while the atom which gains electrons to form anion. So the electrostatic force of attraction between cation and anion is called ionic bond. For example, formation of NaCl. In NaCl, Na loses one electron to form Na plus ion and get noble gas electronic configuration of neon. For example, this is sodium. Sodium has 11 electrons. So first 2 electrons in the first shell, 8 electrons in the second shell, and 1 electron in the last shell, which is called valence shell. When it loses electrons, so it forms what's Na plus ion, which is first shell 2 electrons are there, and second shell 8 electrons are there. So total 10 electrons are there. So a neon has 10 electrons total in its atom. So it forms Na plus ion. In NaCl, chlorine gains 1 electron to form chloride ions and get noble gas electronic configuration of argon. In chlorine, if you look at here, its symbol is Cl. It has 2 electrons in the first shell, 8 electrons in the second shell, and 7 electrons in the last shell, which is called valence electron. When it gains electrons, right, so it has first 2 electrons in the first shell, 8 electrons in the second shell, and 8 electrons in the third shell. So total there are 18 electrons. So in argon there are total 18 electrons. So it can get electronic configuration by gaining 1 electron. Now Na plus and Cl minus electrostatically attract to form ionic bond. They say Na, it loses 1 electron to chlorine. This is chlorine, so it forms Na plus. This is cation and this is anion. So these two electrostatically attract each other to form ionic bonding. If you will draw the electrons of one of the atom, it is of your choice. If you draw the electron of sodium by dots and electron of chlorine by crosses, so it should be one electron of one atom should be represented by dots, and another atom electrons should be represented by crosses, that we can differentiate that this electron has been come from this atom to this atom. So this was about ionic bonding. Now example number 2, formation of MgO. In MgO, Mg loses 2 electrons because it has 2 valence electrons. It means 2 electrons in the outermost shell to form Mg plus ion and get noble gas electronic configuration of neon. Mg is the symbol of magnesium, and it has 2 electrons in the first shell, 8 electrons in the second shell, and 2 electrons in the last shell. So when it loses these 2 electrons, so it forms Mg, 2 electrons in the first shell, 8 electrons in the second shell. Total there are now 10 electrons. So 10 electrons are in neon, which is a noble gas. So Mg plus 2 electrons. MgO, oxygen gains 2 electrons to form O minus ion, minus 2. anion and get noble gas electronic configuration of neon. This is oxygen. So there are 2 electrons at the first shell, 8 electrons in the second shell. When it gains 2 electrons, so there will be total how many electrons? 10 electrons. So there are 10 electrons in neon. So oxygen can get noble gas electronic configuration of neon by gaining 2 electrons. Now Mg plus 2 and O minus 2 ions attract each other to form ionic bonding. MgO, this is Mg, it loses these 2 electrons and oxygen gains 2 electrons to form Mg plus I plus 2 and O minus 2. So Mg plus 2 and O minus 2 attract each other electrostatically to form ionic bonding. Now the next question is, what is covalent bond? So explain the types of covalent bond with the help of examples. So in covalent bond, electrons are shared between 2 atoms. Covalent bond is formed by mutually sharing of electrons between 2 atoms. So the shared pair of electrons is represented by dots or crosses or straight lines like this. Types of covalent bond. There are 3 types of covalent bonds on the basis of pair of electrons shared between 2 atoms. Number 1, single covalent bond. It is formed by mutually sharing of 1 pair of electrons between 2 atoms. So it is represented by a single straight line. For example, hydrogen. This is one hydrogen. It has a single electron in its valence shell. This is another hydrogen. It has another means 1 electron in its valence shell. So these 2 electrons shared with each other to form 1 pair of electrons. So it is a single covalent bond. Double covalent bond. So it is formed by mutually sharing of 2 pairs of electrons between 2 atoms. So it is represented by double lines like this one. And the example is O2. This is 1 oxygen. So there are 6 electrons, 2 electrons in the first shell. So no need to draw the first shell. We will draw only the valence shell. I have drawn this one. So you will not draw this one, right? So 6 electrons each in the valence shell. So 2 electrons are shared between 2 atoms and oxygen and form a double covalent bond. Now triple covalent bond. So it is formed by mutually sharing of 3 pairs of electrons between 2 atoms, and it is represented by triple lines. This triple lines between 2 atoms. The example is nitrogen. The example is nitrogen. So this is nitrogen. This is 1 nitrogen. There are total 7 electrons. So 2 electrons in the first shell. No need to draw it. And 5 electrons in the last shell. You will draw only the last shell or valence shell. Plus this is another nitrogen. So it forms what? This is 1 nitrogen. This is another nitrogen. You will write here N and N and form a triple covalent bond. So this was about today's topic, what is ionic bonding and what is covalent bonding. Students, these 2 questions are very, very important for examination point of view. So subscribe my channel that I am making every day new videos, that you get notification for the new video and you get advantage of these videos in the board exams. Thanks for watching. Allah Hafiz.